How to install WordPress from scratch. Hi, I'm Finn, and today we're going to take you through the steps of how to put WordPress on your website when you have nothing other than a website. Okay, you're going to need a few things before you start. You'll need a paper and a pencil because there are some things that you're going to have to write down. You'll need enough space on your website host. Probably not less than a gigabyte. You'll need FTP access to your website. Now, I'll explain what that is later. Your website host will have to give you a couple of things. There'll have to be the ability to run PHP and an SQL database. You don't actually need to know what those things are, but you need to have them, so make sure that you've got them from your website host. You'll need an FTP client, and that will allow you to take the files, the WordPress files from your computer and put them on your website. I'll explain what that is a bit later in this video, and it'll be useful to have a text editor. If you have Windows, you have a text editor, so don't worry too much about that. Step 1, download WordPress and unzip the file. This is easy. The URL is here, and I'll probably put it in the description somewhere. You just download it from this button here. You just click on it. Now you'll notice that my browser opens a window. I'm just going to save the file, and it'll ask me where. Right, so here you see I have a completely new folder, and I'm just going to save this download zip file. Do you see how it says .zip at the end? And now we have to wait until it downloads, so I'll stop the recording here until it has. So here you see the zip file has saved on my hard drive, and all I'm going to do is just double click on it. That means click twice, and it unzips itself. I'm just going to do the one-click unzip. I'm not going to fiddle with it. So do you see how it's extracting everything? And I'll just pause the recording here until that's done. Once the unzipping is done, you'll see that it creates its own little folder, and here is everything that you need to put WordPress on your website, except one thing that you have to do first, and this is where we come to our FTP client and FTP access. Step 2, create a database on your website host. I'll explain how to do that in a moment. Decide what you're going to call your database, that's important, and then write that name down on a piece of paper, and don't lose it. You'll need it. So how do you access your database creation options? Most of the better known website hosts have something like cPanel or Plesk or something else. That makes it easier to access creation of database. You may have to hunt for it. I'll show you a cPanel demo a bit later, but Plesk again should be easy to find on there. My own website host has something else, but it's easy to find. If your hosting provider uses cPanel, a lot of them do, this is what you will be looking at in order to create your database. Now you can find how to do that by scrolling down, because it's here under databases, or you can just type in and it will automatically find the options for you. That one is the one that you'll want to be using, probably, or maybe the database wizard. I don't use cPanel, so yep, here it is, database wizard, create a database. You just give it a database name that you'll remember. I personally would be using a name that indicates what website you're using, or maybe you want to use your name and call it whatever your name is, database. And that's easy to remember, but really at this point you should have a piece of paper and a pen handy so that you can write down what your database is called in case your mind goes a blank. There are other methods of doing this. Sometimes what hosting services provide is a one-click WordPress installation, and you can do that. That's much easier if they have it. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm letting you know how you do it from scratch. And really being able to use an FTP client is quite a useful skill. So at this point, yeah, you just create a database. The wizard will tell you what to do next. It'll take you through step by step. So follow the instructions on the wizard, and once you've created the database, then we can go and use the FTP client to upload the WordPress installation. Step 3. FTP the WordPress files. The FTP client, I prefer FileZilla, and you can find it here. That's the link. I'll put it in the description probably somewhere. Now, the thing about downloading anything is you need to make sure that you're only choosing the bits that you want. We want the FileZilla that is this one, just the free one. We don't want the Pro. We're going to download that. We're going to save the file. Yes, I'm going to put it in this folder on my hard drive. Wait for a wee minute while it downloads. There we go. You can see this funny little down arrow here. It's a shortcut on my browser, which is Firefox. You may be using a different browser, but this is the one that I use, so it makes it easy for me to open files. Right, so this is the setup file. And be very careful here. Make sure you always ask, because you will find that there are bits and pieces that you need to unclick before you click the execute or run button. Hold on. This is the agreement, the license agreement. You should really read that before you agree to it. I've already read it and I've agreed to it. Now here it is. Now I actually already have FileZilla on my hard drive. I'm already running it, which is why it's saying upgrade. I'm just going to click next, and I'm going to take it as far as I can without changing the version that I already have. Okay, so next. You will click next. Now, this is where you have to start paying attention. The search offer powered by Bing, often what's bundled in with whatever it is that you want, is other things that are a surprise. They take you by surprise, so you need to pay attention. I don't want a search offer powered by Bing, and so this here little box I am unclicking. Now I'm unclicking this one here just to make sure. Reason, core security. No thank you. I already have a virus checker and a firewall, so I don't need any of that either, so I'm unclicking that and clicking next. Okay, and now it's just installing. It's updating my FileZilla, which is, okay, I now have the most recent version. And then you click finish. You've got your FTPZilla or your FileZilla or whatever FTP program you have. You'll connect to your website host through the FTP information that you got from them. Upload the files. It takes a while, a lot of files. So now you've got FileZilla open, you'll need to go to the File, Site Manager. And Here I have various sites here because I have clients. You'll need to create a new site. Now your new site, I'm just going to put a test here. Your new site, you will have to give this information to the site manager. So your host, don't worry about the port so much, but you should be able to get this information from your hosting company. It's a file transfer protocol is what FTP stands for. And these settings will have to be changed. I'm not going to be changing them anytime soon in front of you because I have passwords and various things in there, so yeah. But you won't be allowed to access your website anonymously. You will need information and passwords to fill in these boxes. Okay, so, and then once you've done that, you will connect. If you come across a critical error like this, that's because your FTP is locked. So you will need to go back to your hosting provider and unlock the FTP so that you can access your website and put all these files in there. So I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to connect now, having unlocked my FTP access. Now you will note that I have already got a bunch of files in here. You won't. And this is where you're going to be uploading them. So you will be going into your WordPress file and you will upload all of these files into your website. Now, if all of this is beginning to look a bit complicated to you, I do have a gig on Fiverr to do all this for you. So I'll put the link in the description, and later on I'll show you what the gig looks like so that you'll have access to it and you'll know you've got the right person. Then, once you've done all that and you have dealt with the configuration file, which has to be fiddled about with through a text editor, you need to put information in there about your password, username, what the database is called so that you're accessing the correct database and you'll be able to use your WordPress installation to share your knowledge with the world. That's basically what you have to do in order to put in your WordPress site by hand from scratch. Now, how to activate WordPress? You have to do this from your host. So open up your browser. The installation script is either called w-admin install PHP or wp admin activate PHP, and you just put that in your browser and WordPress will do the rest. It's just an installation script. Now you've installed it all, you want to get in there and start writing. So the way that you do that is to open your browser, go to whatever your website name is, /wp-login.php. Don't forget the PHP bit because you'll get an error message if you do. Log in through the form using your username and password. I have a video or two coming up about how to pretty that up a bit. I'm just going to show you this gig so that you'll know that you don't have to do all this stuff. I'll do it for you. Or you can pop over to Fiverr. I have a few gigs on there. One of them is Wordpress installation with the right themes for you, which is what we've been talking about now. And there are a couple of other options. The link is in the description and you can find out more about them there. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials on WordPress.